I have been having my YouTube payments withheld for months without explanation in a severe breach of contract by my YouTube network, Omnia Media. And I'm not the only YouTube creator who is seemingly being scammed and stolen from by this company. It's a pretty widely held belief that you don't make it until you've got an article written about you in Forbes magazine, which I can finally say I have. Forbes magazine have done an article all about me making no money. It's like the monkey paw wish, you know? Like I've made a wish, I want to be in Forbes magazine, but it's for being broke. That's not what I wanted. Omnia Media is a huge YouTube network that has signed or had signed some of the biggest YouTubers in the world. And right now I'm in a group chat with dozens of them that are owed in total at least hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I know of even more people outside of that group chat, and we are all getting ghosted. We are all being lied to. We are all having our money taken and withheld in severe breach of the contracts that we signed with Omnia Media. I can only assume that because of the radio silence they've been given all of us, that they're going bankrupt and are planning to run off with their money. That's just my opinion though. I don't want to get sued for defamation, but I don't know how I could have any other opinion seeing as they've completely ignored most of us. If you're unfamiliar with what a YouTube network is, it's something that you kind of used to need to be able to make money at all on YouTube. And that's when I signed up with Omnia Media. I started my YouTube channel back in 2012 and it was only a couple years later that I finally got signed to a YouTube network that had signed some of my favorite creators, some of my personal friends, and I was finally making money on YouTube. How it would work is Omnia Media would help me get ads on my YouTube channel, they would take a little piece, and then I would finally be monetized. My dream. And that's how it worked. Now, I would not recommend anyone sign up to a YouTube network, and it's really not something that you need at all because Google and YouTube have figured out monetization, and it really just works for people. However, I stayed signed with Omnia Media because I want to emigrate to the United States, and one of the only ways that someone outside of the States can emigrate is if they have a US company sponsor them and say, yes, I'm going to take this person under our wing, we're going to be responsible for them. And a YouTube network is a great way to get a sponsorship because then you can just go over, film YouTube videos, and as long as you've got a camera out every now and then, you can kind of do whatever you want. So I would be able to tour and do shows without fear of being deported. That's why I stayed signed with Omnia Media. And then they stopped paying me. Generally, YouTube payments happen once a month and they would happen exactly on time every single month for basically the 10 years that I was signed with Omnia Media. They hadn't missed a single payment. I had to look at all my payout slips. I think they missed once. It was an error. They fixed it immediately. But the company has since changed hands. So the people that I signed with, they no longer operate the company. It's now being signed to a company called Enthusiast Gaming, which if you check their stock price, might give you a little bit of an indicator into why they aren't paying their creators, because it looks like they might, in my opinion, potentially be running out of money and are pocketing creators' money to be able to pay their bills. See, around the time that Omnia Media stopped paying me on time, I actually didn't notice because, as you all know, I was really sick and I was going through surgical procedures, very expensive surgical procedures that, you know, if you don't know, on-time payments would be very, very important to receive. But while I was ill and recovering from surgeries, payments were getting missed and sent to me late. I wasn't really noticing it, and there was no communication from Omnia. In fact, I have an email from when Omnia Media changed hands. Apparently I was given a new partner manager. They said, oh, this is this guy, he's going to be in charge of managing you and communicating with you. I responded to that email, never heard from him. Haven't heard from them ever since that email, which was years ago. It's been radio silence from them. But again, my payments were coming on time, so I didn't think anything of it until they stopped coming on time, but I was too sick to even notice. I started going through surgical procedures. I had bigger problems on my mind. Then one day when I ran out of money to pay for follow-up appointments with my surgery, I thought, I should have more money than I do. What's happened to my YouTube payments? Maybe they're still sitting in my PayPal. Maybe they're in an account that I haven't looked at for a while. I did some research and found out that I've been getting late payments. And I've been missing a payment for months. I reached out to Omnia Media, no response. They ghosted me. Then I reach out to a few other YouTubers that I know are signed with Omnia and find out that I'm not the only person they've been withholding payments or paying late. I get put into a group chat with dozens of creators far bigger than I am that are owed far many, way more thousands of dollars than I'm owed. And then I start to panic because I'm thinking, oh no, if this guy's owed like $100,000, I don't think I'm going to get my money at all. So that's when we start banding together and sending emails to Omnia Media asking what's going on? Where's our money? Why are dozens of us not getting paid? And our little group chat starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and the missed payments become more frequent, and the amount owed starts doubling, tripling, quadrupling in size. Now it's becoming a shockingly scary number to see, because I know I don't think they can afford this. Or sorry, I assume I don't think they can afford this. But then all of a sudden, some of us start getting some responses from Omnia Media, and they're not helpful at all. They're mostly vaguely threatening, saying things like, we're a publicly traded company, so if you go public about this, we'll start looking at legal options, and this might be in breach of your contract, which might mean we won't have to pay you at all. I'm sorry, but I'm not getting paid at all, and I don't think you can afford to sue me, so bring it on. Or, as Lewis Spears from the SoFlo Antonio days would say, sue me. When the thinly veiled legal threats don't really scare a lot of us, that's when they start referencing different clauses in their contract. Things like, oh, actually, Omnia Media doesn't have to pay you up until about 45 days after Omnia Media receives the money. If you don't know, how it works on YouTube is YouTube pays you about 30 or 40 days after YouTube receives the money, and that money goes to your YouTube network, and then the YouTube network, generally in the almost decade-long time I've been signed to them, would pay you like the next day or the day after. So you would get your money like maybe 35 days after YouTube tallies it up. But then they started saying, oh no, we're still within contract because we actually don't have to pay you the money that we receive until up to 45 days after we receive it. And then we wait that 45 days. We go, oh, well, that is within the contract. It is clear. Legally, we can't really do anything about it. Maybe they're just paying the payout schedule, the payout cadence, as they said to us. So we wait 45 days after we usually receive the money. Now it's day 46. We're like, hey, you guys are in breach of your contract. Then they come back to us and go, actually, when one of us breaches the contract, we actually have this set amount of time to remedy the situation, and then it's fine, and no one's in breach of contract. And we go, okay, that sounds really shady, but whatever, we'll give you the extra time that is in the contract. Guess what? They are now severely in breach of the contract they have with me. I haven't received money for months. And this is money that I need to give to surgeons, to orthodontists, to people that I owe money to because I was sick for a really long time, and the only way that I was making money because I wasn't well enough to tour was YouTube. And I hadn't received money for months from Omnia Media. I have since left the network, but they're still withholding money from me. And I am one of the least affected people. I know people that are owed tens of thousands of dollars. I think there's hundreds of thousands of dollars that are owed to creators that hasn't been paid out yet. And to be honest, doesn't look like it's going to get paid out. Even when Forbes magazine has come to Omnia Media and asked them for comment and interviewed people like me, people like George Mimulus. Have a look at this article that Forbes interviewed me for. Omnia Media, a YouTube MCN owned by Enthusiast Gaming, currently owes tens of thousands of dollars to multiple influencers who are or previously have been signed to the company, with previous payments arriving late. This has caused a lot of stress for stars who have been impacted. That's right, I'm a star. I'm in Forbes magazine for being broke. I've made it, kinda, not really. Last month, reports came out that Omnia Media had started paying creators much later than they had previously done. YouTubers CoffeeZilla and some ordinary gamers released videos on the subject, following on from some creators starting to speak out about their issues with Omnia Media. This is despite being threatened with legal action by Omnia Media. Now, a month on, payments are still outstanding to multiple creators, and others are arriving outside the contractually agreed time frame, which is causing issues for some of the talents who are owed money. Some haven't even been paid outside of the contractually agreed payment terms. Me. Speaking of me, here's my interview in Forbes magazine. Something that in other circumstances I would be very proud of, but for this one I'm just kind of annoyed. I had to pay my surgeon for follow-up appointments to check on me, and I had no money because Omnia Media were withholding it, said Lewis Spears, a stand-up comedian and YouTuber who underwent surgery around the same time his payments from Omnia Media started to arrive late. Spears had been with Omnia Media for around 10 years, joining the network when being part of an MCN was effectively a requirement to make money on YouTube. Until late 2023, his ad revenue payments had always arrived on a regular schedule, typically at the start of the month after his ad revenue had been paid to Omnia by YouTube. For example, his April ad revenue payments would arrive in early June. That's true. However, after his payment for his October 2023 earnings were paid out in early December 2023, he then did not receive any payments from Omnia Media until early February 2024, when his November revenue was paid, going 2 full months with no ad revenue payments. While technically within the terms of his contract with Omnia, the change, which was not communicated to Spears at the time, made things very difficult for him. Then we've got a quote from Memulus over in the UK, who is owed a lot more money than I am. There was a few month period where I just didn't get money from AdSense, said George. It was like I'd had something taken from me, which I felt wasn't someone else's to take. Correct. And then this quote from George really annoys me. Now I feel as though emotionally I'm kind of over it. Of course, I'd like the money, but in my mind, I wouldn't be surprised if they just ran off with it. Spoken like someone who didn't get their head chopped in half by a surgeon. Don't say that, George. Get angry. We want the money. It's unacceptable. I'll take George's payment. He doesn't want it. He's over it. He's let it go. I'll have it. Please, George, help. Now, keep in mind at the time of recording, all right, this article was written last month, and I still haven't been paid. But here's Enthusiast Gaming, the company that owns Omnia Media. Here's their response. Omnia is still owned by Enthusiast Gaming and intends to honor all of the creators' contractual entitlements, as it has done for its over 10-year history as a YouTube CSP. There are currently tough economic times and short-term industry headwinds that has led to us making tough decisions and executing significant layoffs. No different than many other companies such as Riot Games, Amazon, Twitch. Yeah, but those companies, even though they have had to lay off people, paid those people what they were owed. Right? Those people got severance packages, I assume. All right? Those companies didn't steal money from the people that were working for them to fund esports competitions and then go, oh, we're working on it. All right? How can these people be celebrating signing esports professionals for untold amounts of money while they owe that amount of money plus more to creators that fund their entire business? That's not a tough decision that you're making. That is, in my opinion, robbery. Especially when you take into account, I haven't heard from Omnia once since this whole thing started. They owe me money, they don't talk to me. That feels a lot like being stolen from. Both Spears and George detailed a lack of communication from Omnia Media since being taken over by Enthusiast Gaming, with both mentioning they had good relationships with staff there until the sale, at which point getting a reply from the company became a struggle. Yeah, no shit. The last guys were great. I love them. Literally, I went to LA, had a meeting with them in their offices. I'm not even a big creator. They came to my show. They've seen me live in Melbourne. I don't even know why they were in Australia. They're American. Where are they gone? Bring them back. That's the difference in communication from the previous owners to the current owners. The previous owners, despite not really making too much money from me, believed in me, encouraged me, wanted to help me get a visa to the United States, paid money to come to my live show. The new owners have taken my money, run away, and won't even send me an email. What I'm trying to say is the only way to make this up to me, Omnia, is to have your staff party at one of my shows. And you gotta pay full price for tickets, plus what you owe me. And everyone has to buy a t-shirt afterwards. Both George and Spears have terminated their contracts with Omnia Media, but are still waiting to be paid their final months of ad revenue. Mine, I don't know about George's, but mine, super far outside of the contracted cure period that they pulled out by one of their lawyers, all right? Where's my money? Sorry, where's my surgeon's money? While it is good to see that the company intends to pay out the money it owes, it doesn't resolve them of the issues that the changes in payment dates and late payments have already caused to multiple creators. And then here's maybe the hardest quotes of any article that I've ever been in, all right? This is my best work. In fact, I think I told the guy that he wasn't allowed to publish my name or any of my comments unless he included this, because it really tickled me. I never thought I would be on Forbes for making no money, jokes Spears. That's That's really good, okay? That's awesome. I'm gonna print that out and put it on my wall. Never thought I'd be in Forbes magazine for making no money. Joke Spears, who is now trying to build up his YouTube audience once again after having to take a break because of his surgery. A return to touring means the late payments from Omnia Media are no longer putting him in danger of not being able to pay his bills. But for a while, over the last few months, the decisions from the company put him in a very difficult financial position for seemingly no good reason. That's true, making an already difficult period of his life significantly harder. That's true. I couldn't tell you the amount of stress that I was under when I was looking at invoices from my surgeon for follow-up appointments to check if I was healing correctly, and then just having no way to pay for them. Because again, I had to stop touring for years because I was so sick. The only reliable source of income that I thought I had was my YouTube channel. And they took that away from me for months. And still, I'm waiting for money from them. So, if I have any advice to any young or professional creator out there, it would be to leave your YouTube networks. It's not worth the stress. They aren't doing what they used to do for creators. They're no longer necessary. And if you have to be part of a YouTube network, absolutely don't be part of Omnia, because this is atrocious behavior from them. But now that I'm finally out of Omnia Media's clutches, I'm going to be making regular YouTube content. You probably noticed already we've been pumping out videos again. That's why I kind of disappeared, because I wasn't getting paid, and it looked like I definitely wasn't going to be paid for any video that I made. So I just focused on touring and my podcast, and most importantly, my Patreon, which if you'd like to support, the information will be down below for that. But yeah, thank you so much for your support. I know I keep whinging about everything that I went through with my surgery, but you know what? A lot of things happened and they all piled up, including this. Yeah, Omnia Media, pay me my fucking money that you owe me.